Here we are for another day of fun in Miss Carol's kitchen with chicken eggs. So I want to show you today what our egg looks like after having been in distilled water for about 24 hours. So here's my distilled water, no solutes, and here's the egg. So you can still see where the eggshell didn't come off. Oh, yikes, sun shining. But look at the size of the egg, and I'm going to measure it in a minute. But you can see that it is no longer squishy in terms of being able to pinch it in a lot the way it was after the corn syrup. I don't know if you can tell how much the color has changed. It's more of a paler yellow now. And again, that's because we are seeing the yolk farther away. Like we're looking through more material in order to see the yolk, which is yellow. So, and you can actually see different colors based on which side of the egg was sort of out of the water versus in the water. You can almost see the water line there. So think about what that might mean. But egg number 2 looks pretty similar to this. And I actually already measured the eggs. So here are our numbers for today. Okay. Oh, I've got shadows happening, but you can see that egg number 1 definitely increased in size compared to yesterday. And length and width of the other one, not sure if you can see those. Yes. So also an increase. So take a minute and stop and think about what kind of solution this was compared to our egg cell. So you've probably read about hypotonic solutions, hypertonic solutions, and isotonic solutions. So remember that iso means equal, and think about what hypo means. You've heard of hypothermia, I'm sure. And for hyper, I'm sure you've heard of things like being hyperactive. Just remember that when you're talking about hypo and hypertonic solutions, we're not actually talking about the concentration of water with that name. We're talking about the concentration of solutes. And remember, this has absolutely no solutes in it. So what that means is it's very, very, very hypotonic compared to our cell. When we talk about hypo, hyper, and isotonic solutions, we always have to talk about them in reference to a cell or something to compare it to. You can never just say that, this coffee solution is hypertonic. Well, to what? You have to be comparing it to something. So in this case, we're comparing it to our cell. So if you think about it, this is as hypotonic a solution as we could possibly get. And think about whether water entered the cell or exited the cell, okay, by osmosis, because remember, that's what we're actually looking at here if you haven't figured that out already. So what I want to do now is pretty much our demonstration is over. We saw the cell get smaller in one type of solution. We saw the cell get bigger in another type of solution. And now that we're done with that, I just want to have a little bit of fun because we have one day left. Here's the other egg, by the way, and you can actually see a really good difference in this in terms of where it was above the water and where it was below the water, because the coloration is rather different. So what I have at this point is I have my 2 glasses, one with, both with distilled water. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make another type of solution. This is plain old table sugar. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put probably 3 or 4 times the amount in one of these glasses compared to the other one. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ditch that old nasty water and pour in some more. So I'm not measuring really quantitatively here. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. But I'll hold them up so that you can be sure that there's pretty much equal amounts of water in here. Okay, pretty close. Number 1 is going to get less sugar. That's my dishwasher finishing. There's the amount of sugar for number 2. I'm going to stir those up. So what we're doing is we're taking what used to be a hypotonic solution compared to our egg cell, and I'm changing it to a hypertonic solution. I'm assuming it's hypertonic anyway. We'll see, I guess, won't we? This is a little bit different than the corn syrup. Similar because they're both containing sugar, but different because This type of sugar is a disaccharide, it's sucrose, whereas the sugars in the corn syrup were monosaccharides, glucose and fructose. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both of these eggs back in their respective dishes. And, uh-oh, I didn't account for water displacement by the volume of the egg, so I'm going to have a little spill here. Yikes. Okay. And so now what we have is eggs sitting in two different hypertonic solutions, but one is more sugary than the other. So just for fun, again, our demo really is over. I'm just kind of playing around at this point, and I'm going to revisit these in a few hours and just see what happens. Make a prediction and see if you're right. Okay? See you soon.